So you need to do this, again, total concentration and very repetitive. But now this is a common problem in question, and I'm going to say it again and again because I see this comment on our forums all the time. I see it in the VIP social site. Students asking about this all the time. And the thing that always happens is people say, yes, AJ, but I start to feel tired. I get sleepy when I'm listening to something, in English, especially if I'm listening to it many times. I get tired and sleepy or bored when I'm trying to focus a lot on something. And this is a problem, but you know what? You need to think of your brain like your body, because we also need to make our brains stronger. Like I said, we live in cultures now, in a society that makes our brains kind of weak and lazy. Everything's always changing really fast, and we don't have to focus so much anymore. And that's not good. It's the same thing that's happening to us physically, right? In our societies, because now we're seeing more and more and more people in countries everywhere in the world getting more fat and more lazy. More fat and more lazy. Everything's too easy, we just sit around on our butts all day in chairs, working on computers maybe. Or, when we go to work, we're always driving in cars or sitting in trains or sitting in buses. A lot of people don't walk very much anymore. And they certainly don't do heavy, difficult lifting, and hard physical work like we used to in the past. Just 100 years ago, most people were farmers and they're doing a lot of hard physical work. Of course, if you go back thousands of years, as, humans evolved, as our species evolved, we were hunting and gathering and we were doing very physical things all the time. So we were, our bodies were more healthy and stronger. But now in our societies, people are becoming very kind of soft and lazy physically. And so the same thing happens physically, right? I see this with my mom, for example, who's trying to lose weight, but she doesn't like to exercise, and she complains, oh, I don't want to walk too much. Oh, I feel tired when I, walk a lot. Or my knees hurt when I walk a lot. So it's exactly the same kind of phenomenon or situation, which is if you don't use your body enough, it becomes tired and lazy. And then if you try to use it again after that, you feel very uncomfortable. Sometimes you feel some pain, but often you just feel really tired very quickly. Tired and uncomfortable and walking too much doesn't feel good, or having to, do hard physical work. Oh my God, I don't want to do it, right? You see this. I know you know people like this. Maybe you are a person who's like this. I've had periods in my life like this. In fact, just recently, I feel like I haven't been working hard enough physically. And I know I need to get out there and exercise. I need to lift some weights. I need to do something hard and challenging so that my body doesn't become weaker and weaker. This happens as we get older. We think it's age that's causing it. Oh, well, I'm 40 now, I'm 50 now, I'm 60 now. That's why I'm weak. Bullshit! That's not why you're weak. The reason you're weak is because you haven't been using your body very much for 10, 20, 30 years. You haven't been challenging your body for 10, 20, 30 years. You haven't been using a lot of physical energy and doing things that are difficult for 10, 20, or 30 years. That's why you get weak. That's why you start getting sick more and more. That's why you feel more tired more easily. That's why your energy drops and drops and drops as you get older. It's not the number. It's not the age. It's not the years. It's neglecting your body. What does this have to do with English learning? Well, it's the same thing with our brains, because this happens with our brains. People stop challenging their brains as they get older. Right? When we're young, we're learning all the time. We're in school. We're constantly, being challenged, new things, more difficult things. After you learn to add and subtract in math class, You don't stop. Next, you learn to multiply and divide. Then they make you take algebra classes and trigonometry classes and geometry classes. And if you keep going, they make you take calculus and more advanced geometry. You're constantly being pushed to do something a little more difficult, a little more difficult, a little more difficult. So when we're younger, in elementary school, middle school, high school, university, grad school, we're constantly being physically and mentally challenged, especially mentally in school. And so at that age, our brains are learning and growing, and they're not so tired. And we kind of have to concentrate more. Especially in the past, kids are getting more lazy now too, unfortunately. But, what happens though then we get in our 20s and maybe we start a new job. And again, that's a lot of learning. There's a learning process that's happening. We're being challenged a lot. But what happens with a lot of people is they get comfortable. They eventually get into some career or some job or some situation where it's familiar. And after a few years, they feel very confident and comfortable, and they know it very well. And they feel confident, and that's great. But what happens is you get a little too comfortable. And then you just stop challenging yourself so much. It's not as intense as it was when you were younger. And you don't notice this very much when it's just a few years. But after 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years of being a little too comfortable, the brain also gets weaker and weaker and weaker. Your memory will start to go down a little bit, a little bit, a little bit each year, if you're not using it and challenging it. Your ability to concentrate and focus will get less and less. Just a little bit, a little bit. You don't notice it so much. In 1 month, you won't notice it. In 6 months, you might not notice it. But after a year, 5 years, 10 years, it definitely starts going down. And then, as people get older in their 40s and 50s and 60s, then they start complaining, I'm forgetting things a lot. Or sometimes even younger people say, I can't concentrate too much. I get tired. I get sleepy if I focus on English too much, if I concentrate too much. Well, that is a bad sign. That's like being fat. Your brain has become fat and lazy. And you got to train it, right? You don't want to be a 60-year-old person getting Alzheimer's disease. I know you don't. And I know you don't even want to be a 30-year-old person feeling tired and uncomfortable and just a little bit lazy. And you don't want to focus. And it's too much. I'll do it tomorrow. You don't want to be one of those people physically, and you don't want to be one of those people mentally. And so you got to work out mentally also. And that's really what this topic is about today. It's about pushing yourself mentally, especially with your concentration, your attention. And it's so, so important. So like I said, just to wrap up, to finish here. To wrap up means to finish something. So I'm going to wrap this up now. I'm going to finish this topic and just, give you the main point. And the main point is this. The quality of your practice, the quality of your study is just as important, probably more important, than the quantity. So it's not just the number of minutes and the number of hours that you are listening to English or studying. That is important. Of course it's important, and of course more is better. But it's also the quality. It's how focused are you? How much concentration do you have? How long can you concentrate without being distracted? Well, it doesn't, however long that is, I want you to push it longer. So I want you to train your mind the way you would train your body. So if you can concentrate for 15 minutes deeply with total attention, that's great. But I want you to start pushing yourself to go 16 minutes, 18 minutes, 20 minutes. If you have great concentration, if you can concentrate for 1 full hour, and you can be totally concentrated and focused and really listening carefully or remembering carefully, that's great. But you know what? If you just stop there, your brain will start to get a little lazy again. So I want you to push it a little more. Try to do 1 hour and 10 minutes. Try to do 1 hour and 15 minutes. Try to do 1 hour and a half. So keep pushing yourself a little bit so you're a little bit uncomfortable. It's a little bit difficult. And if you notice yourself getting sleepy, or you start feeling bored, don't get upset about that. Just realize that's your brain getting a little tired. It's a sign of a little bit of a lazy brain, okay? And that's fine. Just try to push yourself a little bit farther. Not a lot. A little bit. Remember, this is constant and never-ending improvement. Little improvements constantly. That's the secret to mastery. So, if you can only concentrate for 15 minutes and then you get tired and then you get sleepy, then you get bored, don't try to do 2 hours next day. That's too much. It's too much of an increase. Just try to do 20, 25 minutes the next day, maybe for the next week. And when that becomes possible, then try to push yourself to 40 minutes with really intense focus and concentration, and just keep extending that time longer and longer. This is so good for your mental health. Yes, it will help your English ability, but there are also a lot of studies that I've been reading about aging in our brain, but what happens as we get older. And by doing this, what I'm suggesting, by pushing yourself and really practicing concentration and focus, you're also keeping your brain in top shape. You're keeping your brain, it's like good fitness and health for your brain, so that as you get older, you will not lose your memory. You will also be preventing Alzheimer's when you get much older. And you will prevent all the other problems that happen as people get older with their brains. They have trouble remembering words, or their balance isn't as good. All of these things are signs of an aging brain, but all that means is that somebody has let their brain get a little bit too lazy and fat. Not really fat, but it's kind of like being fat in your head. So this is good for your mental health. It will help all parts of your life. By doing this with your English ability, you'll start to notice that your general memory will improve for all subjects in all areas. You'll notice that you think faster. You'll notice that you're able to learn anything better and faster. Not just English. It will help you in your job. It will help you in your social life. It will help you in all parts of your life where you need to use your brain. So, what are you going to do this month? You're going to focus on focusing. You're going to concentrate on concentrating. And you're going to try to push yourself a little bit to train your brain to focus more deeply and for a longer period of time. And each week you're going to try to concentrate a little bit longer each time you listen to English. Okay? Brain training this month. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this topic. I'll talk a little bit more about it in my extra commentary for you. So have a great day. Have a great month. Thank you, my VIP. You know you're special because you're a VIP. I'm happy to be back in San Francisco where I have very fast internet. So I'll be giving you some bonuses coming soon. All right. Thank you, my special VIP member. See you on the VIP social site. Have a great day, a great week, and a great month. See you again soon. Bye-bye.